One Good Thing by Joy E. Rancatore. Rachel. Sunday, May 26, 2002. I have loved Jack our whole lives, and this journal records our highs and lows. Now it holds today's catastrophic revelation. I kind of hate him. He told me goodbye in a letter sent through my dad. Who does that? He wouldn't even deliver it in person. Jack made a decision that wasn't his alone. He ran away from me, from us, from his mom. He also ran from himself. I understand why he ran from Bellum, hometown of his past pain and grief. I saw the looks and heard the whispers I hoped and prayed he wouldn't. At my graduation, I saw how the ache of betrayal in his eyes melted across his drooped shoulders into pseudo-apathy. Later that night, I journaled about why he left then. Most of my classmates and their parents, and even the teachers, drifted away from us whenever Jack was by me. He left that night for me, so I could celebrate with everyone else. Now, he's left me. A few more months and we would have left here together for college. He didn't need to leave this way. He didn't need to leave me behind. He had the nerve to write that he has to find another future. Well, he was and is my future, so he better get over himself. He's not as broken as he claims, and shouldn't the people he thinks he keeps hurting decide if we deserve better? Now I'm stuck here, trying to figure out what's next. I spent too much of my senior year waiting on Jack. Now I've got no scholarships for the fall, and because I didn't accept any offers, I don't have a spot at any school. I know it's not a huge deal. In many ways, it's probably better this way. It's just, it wasn't the plan. The plan was me and Jack. We were going to Georgia Tech if they accepted his GED. Whatever the future held, it held for us together. Wherever that took us wouldn't be Bellum. A town this size squeezes its inhabitants, more constrictive than cozy. As the preacher's daughter, I should know. I've grown up in a fishbowl as Exhibit A. Can you believe what that preacher's daughter's wearing? That preacher's daughter giggles too much. That preacher's daughter frowns when her daddy's preaching. She's going to be a rebellious one. That preacher's daughter's hair's too red. I bet she has a wicked temper. And then there was the time I was destined to turn up in the family way because I hugged Jack at church. If this town judged me, they condemned Jack without hope of parole. The whole town blamed him for things that weren't his fault. What happened that gosh-awful day on the Cutterland was an accident, a horrible, terrible accident. I've told Jack that. Daddy's told him that. His mom's told him. So has the sheriff. None of us can make him believe it. Probably because everyone else in Bellum screams murderer at him. Daddy's no longer the preacher after this morning. I'm not mad about that. He aimed today's sermon at all the townspeople with their childish hatred. He gave these judgmental people a piece of God's mind, and I've never wanted to shout amen more. He'll be fine focusing on the mission. Mama talked to me about that before she died. She explained how Daddy has a special gift for helping addicts see the truth of the gospel and picture what life without drugs or alcohol could be. She also told me he would take a while to figure out he should be there instead of behind the pulpit. She never told me why, just that she was used to Daddy taking his sweet time figuring things out. Maybe Jack needs time too. I'm still mad at the whole letter thing, so he's not going to waltz back and have everything hunky-dory. He needs to hurry up and return, though. Can't imagine my life without him. He was in it the day I was born, and we've done everything together. Crawl, walk, learn, live. Plus, his mama is my second mama. Miss Becky and I talked today. That's another thing I'm so mad I could spit nails about. He left his mama with a letter, too. I'd like to punch him for her and me. Between the cracks of Miss Becky's words, I heard her pain. Jack's leaving is breaking her heart. She's lost so much in her life. Jack should have known better. Miss Becky misses her son, but I think she knew he was going to do this. She thinks he's like his dad, but he's not. He won't stay gone forever. Surely he won't. Miss Becky and I talked about the guilt Jack felt over Abby May's death on the road through the Cutter's land. She told me Jack's nightmares returned after that accident, and he rarely slept through the night. His screams would wake her. She teared up when she admitted how lost she's felt as a mom since my mom's been gone. They talked through everything that had to do with us kids. Life isn't the same without Mama. Not for me, or Daddy, or Miss Becky, or Jack. Mama was the captain of our joint family team. Since the cancer ripped her away, we've been leaderless. I miss her. What would she say if she were here today? I suppose that's not a fair question. If she'd been here, things wouldn't have gotten so bad in this town. Everything would have been different after the accident. Mama had a way of calming people's anger and soothing their hurt without talking about the actual issue. As a little girl, I believed my mama was magic. I still do. She had this special way with plants and with people. Both grew straighter and more productive when she had a hand in their growth. I think she would have been proud that Jack and I were dating. I think, too, that she would have been guiding us and helping us figure out the whole relationship thing and the whole planning for the future thing without sounding like she was counseling us. How would she handle this mess, though? I've spent the past 10 minutes trying to figure that out. All I came up with is an image of Mama dragging Jack over by his ear to apologize. She never did that, but the visual makes me laugh. Mama always made me laugh when I needed it most, usually when I didn't want to feel better. Regardless of what Jack does next, I have big changes coming. Daddy and I agreed we'd like to move. He said wherever we go is up to me. One minute that responsibility feels like an awful burden. The next it feels like a gift. I don't want to go to college too close to here, but I don't want to be far from Daddy either. Losing one parent made me realize how great they are. Maybe if Mama hadn't died, I'd be fine moving across the country by myself and visiting on holidays and breaks because I'd believe they'd always be here. Instead, I want to be able to live at home with Daddy if I want. Besides, he'll need someone to cook for him from time to time. As smart as he is, that man will never learn to cook anything other than pancakes. He even burns canned soup. I swear I have no clue how he manages that. He told me I don't have to make a decision anytime soon. Practically, I should decide sooner than later, but I'm relieved to feel no pressure. As Mama once told me, making decisions under pressure is a recipe for future disaster. Remember the time I trusted a pressure cooker for the church potluck? I'm going to accept this in-between year before I start college as a good thing and move forward, without Jack. That's the part I cannot stomach right now. I can't picture any part of my life without him at the center, especially this next one. I suppose Jack's not the target of my hate after all. I mostly hate that he left me behind in this town of pointing fingers and wagging tongues. Why would he run from me? We were going to get married and have a family. It's what we always knew would happen, even before the first time he kissed me beside Mama's roses when we were 10 years old. He's my only for always. Now, my always is dark. Jack. Friday, May 31st, 2002. Dear Rachel, why am I writing this letter I have no intention of mailing? Maybe I'm not ready to say goodbye. Maybe I don't have to move on because I never really can, or deserve to. Maybe I've gotten used to this whole letter writing thing. One thing I know is my brain's filled with a swirling mess of confusion and rage and something. I need to figure out whatever that something is and assign some sense of order to it. I want to understand the chaos in my mind. You always loved journaling. I'm not a Dear Diary kind of guy, though. I'd rather pretend to tell my thoughts to you than to lines on a page. Maybe I just want someone to talk to, someone who knows me better than anyone else, Someone who won't put up with my crap. Someone who can uncover my heart, my soul, my hidden self, the good and the mostly ugly, even if it's make-believe. Or maybe I need you so much it terrifies me. I'm a mess, but you always saw something beyond that. Maybe writing with you in mind will help me make sense of the confusion twisting inside me, until one day I see something else there too. You likely hate me right now. You should. Don't take it out on your dad. He couldn't have stopped me from leaving. It was what I needed to do. Now you'll be free to lead the life you were always meant to, without being chained to me. I regret my decision to leave you behind in that hell of a town with all its blame and reminders of the damage I've caused, but not a moment goes by that I'm not reminded of the train wreck I am and would be for you. The biggest benefit for me is I'm not in Bellum anymore. After Mr. Cutter's granddaughter slammed my mom's groceries down in the store with the whole town glaring at me, I couldn't stay another minute. The guilt I carry over Abby May's death is unbearable enough. Add a town full of hate and judgment every time I left home, I couldn't breathe. The weight of Bellum's blame sent me spiraling. I hate admitting this to you, even in a pretend letter, but that pressure carried me straight to alcohol. I didn't drink it. Before I took the first sip, the smell reminded me of the nightmare that was rehab. I won't go there again. Deep down, I know I wouldn't survive again. Reaching for the bottle, though, sent me packing. Now I'm in Columbia, South Carolina, working for a construction company. It's a family business, owned by the Millers. You'd love Junior, Ducky, Senior, and Mama Mabel. They'd love you too. Of course, who doesn't? When I got off the bus here, I had no plan, other than get away and find a job. I had no money, nowhere to stay, nothing. And then I met Senior. His son, Junior, offered me a construction job, and Senior gave me a place to stay. He opened his home to a total stranger. Who even does that? Despite their kindness, I am lonely. Junior's son, Ducky, asked me if I had a girlfriend. Missing you in that moment pierced whatever passes as a heart in my chest. I suppose that pain will come less often the further I get from you. Maybe. Unmailed letters to you might ease the ache and allow me to share my ups and downs. I write to your dad, of course, which is great. He's the guy who came to my ball games and tossed the ball with me after school. He's the one who helped me kick my addiction and steered me on the right path afterward. He's also the preacher dad who somehow knew exactly what I was thinking about his daughter and could give me the scariest icy glare in those moments. I can't tell him all my emotions and internal confusions, especially when many of them surround you. Besides, you've always been my best friend, the one I told everything. Back to the Miller's construction company and the work I'm doing. I arrived at the start of foundation work on a group of houses for families down on their luck. The first family we're building for came to the groundbreaking, and the dad spoke. A drunk driver hit the family and left one of the kids, a sweet girl named Tara, in a wheelchair. The dad was beating himself up with guilt. The more I heard him talk, the more a knot in my gut grew and the angrier I got. He's got no right to blame himself. Guilt's not for a man like him because he did nothing wrong. Guilt's for people like me and that drunk driver. Rach, I could have put someone in a wheelchair, or worse. As many nights as I swerved home while I was drinking, I can't remember most of those drives, but the parts I do remember are blurry images of the wrong side of the road and fast-moving mailboxes in the wrong direction. I'm no different from that driver, and he deserves to be in jail. Maybe it would have been better if Sheriff Pounds had thrown me in a cell after I killed that little girl. It doesn't matter that I was stone cold sober that day. Too many other times, I wasn't. I could have hurt or killed someone then, and that thought rips up my insides. Every time my mind rewinds to the first accident, I see myself waving that damn beer around while I push Stephen toward the driver's seat to accept the challenge to drag race. That night wrecked all our lives. Every night in my nightmares, I see Stephen and the others who died. Then my mind fast forwards to the second accident, and I see Abby May. Their lifeless faces haunt me, and they should. The word accident doesn't resurrect dead kids. If I'd never taken that first drink, maybe Stephen would have listened to his brother instead of me. He wouldn't have raced. He'd have waited for a night on the drag strip when he would have been sober. That would have sent us on an alternate reality where I wouldn't have become a drunk who stole from people like Hiram Cutter's sister. Or, if I'd given in to Mr. Cutter the day of the second accident and backed up to drive around the long way, instead of by his land, I wouldn't have had to pump the gas to get away from his fist. Abby May wouldn't have hidden under my truck, and that girl with her curls and bright blue eyes would still be alive. No, guilt doesn't belong on the shoulders of that father who has to watch his daughter live life in a wheelchair and never speak again. I'm the one who deserves guilt. I feel so restless, Rach, like there's somewhere else I need to go, somewhere I might be needed. You'd probably have all the answers for me if you were here, or I was there. I miss you more every day. I thought it would be the opposite. I guess it hasn't been that long. You always reminded me what your mom wrote in that letter you read after she died. We'd finish each other's recitation of that line, "None of us deserves any good thing." Another of your mom's lines keeps replaying in my mind, something about finding one good thing to be thankful for every day. I've decided to try to do that as often as possible. Maybe not every day. That's too much of a commitment. I can hear you laugh at that. Whenever I write you, though, I will try to do what your mom encouraged. Find something to be thankful for. So, here we go. Today is one good thing. I'm thankful for new starts. One for me, and one for that family who nearly lost everything.